Yeah, thank you, Martinas, for giving me the opportunity to be part of your sales conference and the gathering with booksellers from around the country. So I'm in Europe right now, and I send you my best wishes from here and from Penguin Random House worldwide. Martinez told me that he was particularly interested in me talking a little bit about my view of the global book business and the future of the book business, based on a few speeches that I've given and keynotes at different events, most recently in Barcelona at a publishers forum and last year in Frankfurt at the book fair. So, when we, look at the publishing landscape today, I first of all want to tell you guys, both at Grupo Companhia das Letras and in the book-selling community, how proud I am of what you guys are achieving in very difficult circumstances and macroeconomic environments, especially in Brazil right now. These are tough times, but it's worth working hard, working together, and getting through this phase because I think that the future of books and reading in long form and the future of publishing and bookselling is bright and will be successful. So basically, what I've said, at these keynote speeches, is that I think that from a global perspective, we are living in times that are quite successful in trade book publishing. I have data that show that these are actually the best times in publishing in the last 50 years, if not since publishing was invented, and that is some 500 years ago. So why is my view that optimistic and positive about the status of global publishing and the future of what we do together, both locally and globally? Well, my optimism and my hypothesis is basically based on 5 main reasons, and I would love to share these reasons with you. So the first reason is that if you look at the last 15 years since the digital transformation of media in general started, the global book market, has been growing quite substantially and, on a continued basis. So we are basically, perhaps the only physical media category in which the revenue pool has been growing over the last 15 years since the digital transformation started. And the entire revenue pool of the industry is the most important KPI. As long as the revenue in our industry, as long as consumer spending on books and long-form reading, is growing, I think we are in a good place, and it's all about how we can share those revenues and the success. So, the book markets have been growing over the last 15 years. The second reason is that we have fairly stable business models for print books and for the digital distribution of our content, namely ebooks and digital audiobooks. And we have a business model for the digital distribution of our content to begin with. Many media categories, as you know, don't have a sustainable and profitable business model for the digital distribution of content. We do have that, and that's quite an advantage. The third reason for my optimism is that we have reached a fairly healthy coexistence between print books, physical books, and ebooks and digital audiobooks. What does coexistence and healthy coexistence mean? Well, it means that today we live in sort of an 80-20 split between the physical distribution and digital distribution of our content. Well, one might say everything in nature is 80-20. And if you had asked 10 years ago or 8 years ago, people would have said, of course, in 2018, the split between physical books and ebooks is going to be 80-20. And all experts were clear, in saying that 80% of the distribution in 2018 will be digital distribution and ebooks, and only 20% print books. The fact that the relationship, the split between E and P, is exactly the opposite, namely 80% is physical and 20% is digital, has stabilized the entire book ecosystem, including the publishing side and the bookselling side, tremendously. So it has been very, very favorable and advantageous for books and reading and publishing and bookselling that we have this healthy coexistence between print and ebooks. And that the strength of print books is ongoing, and in our mature markets, physical formats have fairly stable growth rates right now in the US, in the UK, in continental Europe, and overseas. And that is very good for the future of our business together. The fourth reason is that we are benefiting in publishing and bookselling from demographic change, from the growing world population, and from decreasing illiteracy rates. So every year, the number of people who are able to read on the planet is increasing substantially. And with physical distribution, e-commerce, and also digital distribution, we can reach every year a much wider audience. So our addressable audience for our content is growing significantly every year. We at Penguin Random House sell our books, especially our English language books, into 200 countries in the world. So we are benefiting from the growing world population and demographic change. And last but not least, the fifth reason for my optimism and my hypothesis that we live in the best times in publishing ever is that it is so heartening to see that the fastest growing categories over the last 10 years in publishing have been children's books and young adult books. So the fact that children's books are the fastest growing categories of all categories in publishing, I think, is a clear signal and evidence that we will be able to build the future of books, to create the future of books and reading in our society for generations to come. We can make the next generations readers of long-form content, even though the concentration span of young people is being reduced with social media and everything that is available on a cell phone, basically, that I'm holding in my hands right now. So those are the 5 main reasons for my optimism. There are additional reasons, and that is sort of the storytelling and consuming in general. There is this wonderful quote from our author and a dear friend, Margaret Atwood, who once said, "You are never going to kill storytelling. because it's built into the human plan. We come with it. I love that quote. You know, and I think it is so right that storytelling and story consuming, whether it's in book form or whether it's in sort of audio format or whether it's in video format, storytelling is part of the human DNA. And story consuming is part of the human DNA. And I think that the growth of audiobooks, you know, in many, many countries around the world, it's actually a global trend right now. And I know it has just started in Brazil, but audiobooks can have a bright future in Brazil, I'm sure. You know, the audiobooks go basically back to the old campfire experience of, you know, someone is telling a story, like in the old days around the campfire, and many people are listening to a story. And I think it is really part of who we are. And it goes back to, you know, how we learn to consume stories and, you know, by listening to them. So I think the audio format is not just cannibalizing other formats, it's actually expanding the market for books and long-form reading. And the emergence of Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and all these TV series, you know, is always being described, so stories in video format, is always being described as a big competitor to reading. Well, that is partially true, but on the other hand, all these TV series, all these new media outlets, all these new media tie-ins are basically based on a good story, and in almost all cases on a great read, on a great book. So we've never had more book sales related to TV series and media tie-ins and storytelling in video format for today. So it has a competitive aspect, TV series and movies, but it also has a sort of complementary and a book selling aspect to it, given all the marketing money that is being put behind those series and, you know, the eyeballs that are being catched by those series. So we sell a lot of books being based on that video content. So all these sort of aspects, even complementary media formats like audio and video, are actually making me more optimistic than pessimistic about the future of books and reading. So I want to come you know, to an end here. I know times are tough right now in Brazil, macroeconomically. I know here and there we see a few signs of a recovery. It's going to take some time. And in tough times, we all want to stand together internally at our publishing house with many imprints at Grupo Companhia das Letras, and also with our partners in the book selling community. I know that you know, these are difficult times. People are distracted from books, and consumer spending on books is not growing as quickly and fast as we would wish for. But these times, you know, also in the world with so many things going on, you know, also politically in the different parts of the world. I also want to tell you that I hope you are as much reminded as I am about the importance of the work we do every day together. We have a societal assignment to fight for democratic values and social values in our society. So I also wanna thank you for everything you are doing in our communities and in our society at large. So these are difficult times and very important times for publishers and for booksellers. I wish you a wonderful conference over there. I wish you very productive discussions. And again, let's work hand in hand together. Let's go through this crisis hand in hand together. And I know we will come out of it at the better end. From a global perspective, I hope you share some of my optimism today. And I know that all these sort of global developments that are basically heading in the right direction, they're going to reach Brazil rather sooner than later. I'm very committed to that market, and we are at Penguin Random House, and I can't wait to come back to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro, and to Sao Paulo at the end of October. Have a wonderful conference, and goodbye.